Hello, my friends. Welcome. Today I am here to bring you some of the magic and the music of Middle English poetry. So today I'll be reading a piece called The Three Dead Kings by the 15th century, early 15th century priest poet, deaf-blind priest poet, John Audeley, from the MS Dose 302 in the Bodleian collection at Oxford. So before I begin reading that piece, I'm going to talk a little bit about the poet himself. Um, Basically, everything we know about said poet is contained within that manuscript. His writing, not his writing, considering he was deaf and blind, but the writing that he had transcribed, the writing which he described as miwil and miwuditing, the writing that he signed his name on 18 times. 18 times his name shows up in the text. And that kind of demonstrates an insistence upon authorship and an era when people wouldn't really sign their names on poems that often. Um, it wasn't a common practice. So this is a curious exception to that. So again, he was a deaf-blind priest at Hochmond Abbey, an abbey in Shropshire near Shrewsbury. He was a chantry priest in the service of Lord Strange, meaning his main work was making prayers on behalf of his Lord, pleading for his Lord's place before God and the place of the souls of his Lord's family, his Lord's wife, etc. Um, so, what is known about John Audeley other than the manuscript? Well, we know one more detail. So, in the 1980s, a scholar found court records which chiefly concerned his lord, Lord Strange. That pointed to a sort of a grave event. So one day, Easter Sunday as it were, two lords had a verbal altercation. One lord called the other a lewd knav, which is a lowly knave, a terrible insult to call another lord. So Lord Strange kills this other lord, and he's convicted. His company is convicted of aiding the murder, and among his company who were there and convicted, we have written John Audeley, his chaplain. Um, so it's likely John Audeley felt much guilt at this, and his referencing to himself as John the Blind Audeley might be reminding himself of this sort of punishment from God, this chastising from God for this terrible sin that he was a part of, to kill another man. Oh, and the murder took place at a church, Easter Sunday. To be partially blamed for the murder of a lord in the house of God on a holy day is a terrible sin. And he likely felt much guilt at this. Um, this is important detail in his life. Um, and so the poet himself isn't very well known, yet his unique political and spiritual beliefs really make him worth studying. There's like some themes he was concerned with: anxieties over heresy, loyalty to the aristocracy, the eternal fate of the soul. These are all like themes that he reflected on through his writing. Which was deeply formal, concerned with the craft of poetry, and we can see these concerns reflected in this poem as well, De Tribus Regibus Mortuis, a poem about death, organized purposely towards the end of the book in a section about death, which are followed by prayers for his soul. Um, the poem itself is an account of the three dead kings, which is a sort of a common motif in European art, though this is the only English rendition of the story, likely adapted from a Low German version. Um, so again, the sort of the artistic form of this poem is really strong. It showcases the best of the 13-line form, which he uses elsewhere in his work. Really strong alliterative technique, rhyming, and so listen your ear for all of these details. Um, yeah. So let's see here. So, I am reading De Tribus Regibus Mortuis, or The Three Dead Kings, by John the Blind Audeley. The Three Dead Kings. An a birkin bonk der boos arnbricht, I saw a brimlich boar to a bebrocht, ronk ratjes with reared the ronen a richt, of all horro and horrest, little rocht, me thocht het full semile to say such a sicht, when a seed of a salch a sit him his socht, for the noise that hit was new, till hit was nae nicht, for the known but an apwheel, me thocht hit but nocht, me thocht hit nocht but a throw, to say how he throbbit and threw. Hontis with hornis they couth blow, they hallowed her hondis with ho, in holtis heard he never such hue. Such a hue in a holt were hailed to behold, to say the hontis him hent, and guard him to hailed. There come barwans to that bay with barslatis bold, they blew in her bugles full brame, her brachas to bailed. Three kingis there come, truly he told, with toning and trifling and tales they telled. Ucha we that there was wrocht as they wold. These woodies and these wastes they walten all to wailed, they walten at her will to war. These woodies and these wastes that there were, hearkness what befell of her far, ham lacked no lordship in lar, the laid that will listen and lair. The person who would listen and learn. So what do we learn? It opens with a hunting image, a common trope of the era, an image of a boar being brought to bay by these hunting dogs, the image of death before the introduction of more death. The Hollywood hit hontis with ho, a French hunting call here, ho. French borrowing, the Norman aristocracy kind of borrowing these more French terms. And notice their activities: toning and trifling, tuning, singing, and trifling, and tales they told. Could be important later. And who were they? These woodis and these wastis, they walten all too well. They would have all these woods and these wiles. They liked no lordship in Lar. On earth, they would like no lords. They obeyed no one else. They wanted to own this world. But soon something will happen to teach them. When they weren of these woodis went at her ween, they found in wind is full wet and weather is full wan, but such a must o po mold with mouth as you mean, of all her men and her maid, they must in each man. All arounders quod on that way are no in, I hope for honour of earth that anguish be us on. That we be kingis full clean and common of rich kin, much car us is kocht for craft that he can. Can I no more counsel but kust, but coveries and catches some rest? Be mourn me main this must, or Lord may deliver us with lust, or lele, or leavis are laced. Were they not forth gone 40 sport a few, they fonden feldes full fair and fogus full foe, shoken out of a shaw, three shalkes I shave, shadows and shane were sharped to show, with limbs long and lean and legs full you, hadn't lost the leap, and the lever, sithin they were laid low. There was no bedding that there was durst beck nor bew, but braid in her bridle is again, her blongest can blow. Her blongest can blow in a bead, sich barns they can home bed, they say no so cool home beside, but och king upon Christ creed, with crossing and carping o creed. So each king comes, each king begins the crossing and the carping of the Apostles' Creed, for what they have just seen. Three shadows approach, shaped to show. Earlier, a mist fell upon them, and one says, "I hope for honour of earth." he expects that because of honor of earth, because of their place on earth, echoing the earlier lordship in Lara, um, that anguish, but because of their place on earth, there's some anguish coming. They foresee something coming. And what do they say? The first king he had card, his heart o'er cast, for he knew the cross of the cloth that covered the coast. Forth would not his fall, but fneirted full fast. His fair falcon for fared he fell to his foost. No all me glad sheep is gone, he grew in him aghast. Of three ghosties full green that gar may be groost, for oft have he walken be wodes and be wast. But was me never so woe in this word that he woost, so was me never ewen. Me wit is other one, certes son it will be saying, for our tuning will turn us to ten, for title I trowe bin tan. Then bespoke the second king, that Mekel was of Micht, was mad as a man should, of main and of macht. Methinks he said is, that he say the selkwoth sicht, that ever sag under sun say, and was sacht, of three ladies full late, that Lorn hath the licht, both the leap and the lever, his fro the leam lacht. For if we been ta'en to the tune, as we hadden ticht, ha full tennefull way I trow, that us is tacht as I trow. I tell you no tales but true. What help is our hunting with ho, and no rake we to the yonder row, or radle, or raise must mon wear you. Then spake the henmist king, in the hillis he beholdis, he lokis under his holdis and his head hildis, but such a careful kneel to his heart coldis. So doth the knief or the key that the knock killed us. Hit been wireless three that walken on this woldis, or Lord wis us ready we that all the world willed us. Me hert far for frecht as flag when hit failed us, ouch finger of me horn for fairship hit failed us. Fares me fared of wood far, flay we full fast therefore, can no counsel but car, these devils will do us to dar, for dread lest they do in uja door. Nay, we are no findes, quod first, that ye before you finden, we were your fathers of fold, that fair you have funden. Now ye baith leeter to lave than lavies on the linden, and Lord is of och tone fra Loren into London. Those that been not at your bone ye baten and binden, but if ye baten that burst in ball be ye bonden. Lo, here be the wormest in me warm, they wallen and winden. Lo, here be the warm race of the wade that he was in wonden. Herein was he wonden, he wis, in word one that me worth locust was. Me Karen was full cumule to kiss, but we have mad you masters amiss, that no kneel not mean us with a mass, that other body began a full brim bear. Locus on me bonus that black bin and bar. For we'll we wonden in this word at worship we wear. We hadden or we fat or wheel and well for to war. Thinkest ye no fairly but friends at me fair, that ye be never so far, thus shall ye far. And if ye leven upon Christ and on his lower lair, levies leaking of flesh, and leave not that lard. For wharto should ye leave it? Hit lius, hit ladies yo be lachmon be leus, when thou art aldir hichtus and hius, away of this word, when that thou werius, all thee willed, werkis hit wereus. Then spake Laith, upon last with lindis full lane, with either leg as a lake, and were lapid in lean. Bacchus your mirror be me mirthus ben main, while he was mon upon mold, morthis they were mean. me thocht it a head, thank at husbandis to hen, for that was he hearted with him and with hen, but thocht me never king of cointis so clean. No nis there knav under Christ to me will incline, to me calm, but yev he be capid or keem. Do so ye dread not the dome, to tell you we have no longer Tom, but turn you fro trivials beteem. Now the conclusion. No this gustus bin great, to grav they gleed, then began this gomis greatly to glad. They reading on the richt way, and radly they read. The red rowis of the day, the rink is cuthin rad, hold they never the praise, the hue ne be heed, but the hinder heart after they had, and they that weren at mischief, they meant ham that teed, and throch the mercy of God, a minster they mad with mass, fermenting the men on the moss, and on the walk written this was, too lute will leave this alas, O Lord, deliver us from loss. Amen. And there we have it, the story of the three dead kings. So they're described as coming with trifles and with tuning, and these are the exact sins which the ghosts tell them to turn against. The shadows unchain. There's a few uses of idiomatic language here, where the ghost described that ye be litter to lave than leaves on the linden. You live easier than the leaves on the linden tree. And finally, and another sin they commit is of beating their servants. That be not at your bone, ye baten and binden. And but by the end, they're sort of redeemed of these various sins. Once the ghosts demand that they look at them, they say, "Marcus your mirror be me," look at me as your mirror. They're redeemed of these sins, and it says, "Hold they never the oppress." They don't oppress their servants. Behu ne behid, by hue or by hide, by the color of the skin or by their skin. They it's just an idiomatic phrase. They don't by their own skin. They don't oppress their servants anymore. And they build a minster instead for meeting the men. There's a kind of a leveling that happens, that where once there were aristocracy that owned the earth, they could treat their people as they wanted. Now they choose to build a minster to meet their men face to face. Yeah. So clearly, John Audley has made a great text of great poetic form. Just tragically that it's less read than the other poems of the era. But yeah, definitely worth reading and studying. That's it. Bye.